Hello, in this video I'm going to explain to you what the Women in Computer Science digital poster um, assignment entails and some of the skills you might need in using that. So you are going to create a digital poster about an iconic woman in computer science. Now, whilst you use the words digital poster, it is still a poster, so it should follow all the same hallmarks of a poster, and that is it should have nice graphics, it should be colourful, you should have big, bold titles, and you shouldn't have a huge amount of information on it. It should be readable from a distance, okay? So we don't want blocks of text or anything like that. Whilst we're going to be using PowerPoint to do it, you should not be thinking in terms of creating a bullet pointed presentation or something like that. It is definitely a poster you are looking for. Now, the digital bit basically means your poster needs to move. So it's not going to be something that you could print out and put up. It is something that would run on a digital display and you would have rolling aspects to it. So you would use animations, and that's why we use PowerPoint for it. Okay, so you would look to use animations on your presentation. However, unlike the animations you usually do in PowerPoint, these all need to be timed animations, which are the skills I'm about to show you. So when you come to start, you would start with a blank presentation. Okay, don't go for any of the other different designs and styles and things like that. Now I'm using um, Office 365 version of Microsoft PowerPoint, which might be the one you have at home, might be slightly different to the one you would have if it's Office 2019 or something like that. But it's only be slightly different. It's mainly this page that might look a little different. You'll still have a blank presentation to choose from, and that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so with my blank presentation, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of anything that's on there because I just want a completely blank slide to start with. I'm not creating a presentation, so all the examples that PowerPoint is going to try and give me probably aren't going to be much use to me. So one of the first things I might want to do is put a background color to it. Okay, now to set a color for the entire slide, you would go to Design, then you would go to Format Background, and from there you can choose various different things. Okay, you can have a solid fill, you can create gradiented fill, you can have a picture or a texture. Now, if, for example, if you had a picture that you wanted to use, this is where you would click Insert and you could find an image. I'm going to go for a stock image, see what comes up. There we go, let's go with that one. And that will give me eventually that as a background image, okay? Or you could go with a pattern. Now I'm going to go with just a solid color, okay? Not blue, I'm going to go with a dark green. There we go. So that gives me a background to my poster, okay? Now, you will have text, you'll have images, everything like that that you would normally expect to have on your poster, okay? However, we want to have movement to it. So if I go to insert a text box, for example, and I put in, let's go with Grace Hopper, and I'm going to change the color, something that'll contrast with the green. Let's go with a nice yellow, make it bigger, center it, don't need to be quite that big, possibly even put a border around it, so a shape format, set outline, give it a yellow outline, and make it a bit bigger. There we go. So that might be my title, okay? But I want that to appear in an interesting way because again, I want movement on this. So normally you go to animation and think, oh, I want a fancy animation. Let's go with a swivel. There we go. So now it swivels in. Okay. Actually, I'm going to go bounce. There we go. And I go, that's good. That's great. I love it. And maybe I want it to spin as well. So if I click on spin, now if I run my PowerPoint, actually, I'm not going to run that because instead I'm just going to show you, excuse me, if I just click another one like teeter, then if you notice the bounce one has disappeared. And if I click on these, it's only going to show me one, okay? Now, if I want to add another animation, for example, I want to have something in between or I want it to exit as well, okay? the exit animation is down the bottom, instead of clicking here, I would go to add animation. That allows me to have multiple animations. If you notice, all the entrance ones, which the animation is designed to bring an object onto the screen, have corresponding exits, which will take an object off the screen. So if I click on bounce, it then disappears off. If you notice now, there's two animations. Now, a really, really important button is this one, the animation pane. So if I click on that, it shows me the animation pane, which is basically a timeline of the actions that are going to happen. Now, each animation has a trigger, and the default trigger is this, a click. But we don't want any of ours to work on click. So if I look up here, it shows me that this one is starting on click. So if I click on that drop down, I can see there's two others, with previous and after previous. After previous means quite literally, it waits till the previous animation is finished and then runs it. With previous means it starts at the same time. So you can have multiple things appearing at the same time. Okay? I'm going to show you an example of that in a minute. Okay? First of all, I'm going to set this to go with previous, and that means it's going to effectively happen at the same time as the page starts. Then the exit, I'm going to have happen after previous. Now you notice it's moved in the timeline to start afterwards. And I can even set a little delay. I can say, and I want you to wait a second. And now you can see there's a second gap there. I can also set the duration, because currently it's going to take 2 seconds to bounce on and bounce off. Well, that's a little bit too long. So instead, I'm going to say, actually, I want you to bounce on in 1 second, but bounce off in half a second. Now, when I preview it, you can see it's a bit quicker. I think I've got them the wrong way around. I set the duration, silly me. So let's set the duration back to 2 seconds and the bounce off to be half a second. That's better. Now when I look at it, bounces on, waits, then bounces off really, really quickly. Okay, so I'm going to add another shape. Okay, so let's put some more text on. In fact, let me just copy and paste this one. So I've got all the colors I already needed in place. Oh, that's not copy and paste. Okay, so let's add into there Hedy Lamarr. Okay, now you notice it's also added in the same types of animation. So I'm going to reorder them, okay, because I want both of them to appear at the same time. Actually, I don't want them to appear at the same time. I want them to appear one after the other. So I'm actually going to set this now, if I go back to animations, I'm going to set this to go after previous, okay, and then this one, I'm going to leave a 2 second gap and then after previous. But this one, I'm not going to have any gap, and I want it to happen with previous. Now, again, if you look at the timeline, they will occur at the same time. So I preview this, we'll see first of all one come on, then the other come on, then a wait, and they both go off at the same time. And that's the difference between with previous and after previous. Now, there's other things you can do to change your animations. Okay, so if I click on the animation, right click, you can see there's effect options and timing, and that allows you to look at various other things, okay, that you can change about them, including the timing. Now, other effects that we need to consider, is add animation. In the animation, you've got effects, and this is something that's going to happen all the time, okay? So if I go back with that teeter one, okay, and add a teeter for both of these, okay, but if you notice, by default it's put them at the end. I want them to happen after and not wait for on click. I want them to happen, first one happen after previous and the next one happen with previous. Okay, and I'm going to get rid now of the delay on that one. And I can also set the duration of the teeter to be 2 seconds, which is how long I want them on screen. Okay, and now I'm going to look at that. One appears, the other appears, then they both start teetering, and then they both disappear at the same time. Then the fourth type of animation is a motion path. Okay, now there's lines, arcs, turns, shapes, loops. There's also one that's just appeared off the bottom down there, custom path. Now allows you to set your own path for how the animation would work. Okay, so if I add a custom path for both of them, they're going to move. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these again up there, set them not to work on click, but after previous. Well, the second one, I don't want to be after previous. The second one I want to be with previous. I'm now going to change the teeter to also be with previous, because again, I want them to teeter and move at the same time. So now one appears, the second appears, then they both teeter and move at the same time and then disappear off. So that gives you an idea of how you combine the animations and you create what we call a timeline of animations, okay? A timeline of animations as we see here. The last thing you need to do is if I go to slideshow, because again, this is a digital poster, so once it finishes, we don't want it to just stop. Okay, once it finishes, we want it to keep going again and again and again. So we go to slideshow, set up slideshow, and here are the show options, loop continuously until escape. Okay, now what that means is that when you run it, when it finishes, it will start again. Okay, so that last bit is a really important thing. Only takes a second, but all your digital posters will need that. Once you're done, just save the PowerPoint once you finish it, obviously, and then your teacher will set a Teams assignment and then upload your finished PowerPoint to this Teams assignment, and you should have 2 weeks to complete this. Okay, good luck with that, guys.